Hey y'all, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel, and today is day 17 of Vlogmas, and today's Advent devotional is all about Mary of Nazareth. All right, y'all, so before we dive into today's daily devotion, Star of Wonder by Angela Hunt for day 17, I want to give some logistics. If this is your first video you have stumbled upon, thank you for being here. And I have all the links and timestamps down below if you want to skip around. This is all started off with a devotional for Advent, all about Jesus, honey. And then we have the Advent calendar openings with the HUBS, all the shenanigans, and we've got the content of this video. And I can't remember what the content of this video is today. I think it is the Q&A with the HUBS. So I hope that you all enjoy this video. There's a lot of good stuff here, lots of good fun, and a few deep moments here, but we're here. I've also got the links for the 2023 Vlogmas playlist down below and the one from last year if you've missed any of those videos. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Mary of Nazareth. Her real name was Miriam, and though hundreds of books have been written about her, the Bible gives us only a brief sketch of the girl from Galilee. Like hundreds of young Jewish women, she had been named after the sister of Moses. The name either comes from the Egyptian word for beloved or the Hebrew word for rebel. Considering the name's popularity and that Moses' sister was born in Egypt, beloved is likely the meaning. Mary was probably a young teenager when the Archangel Gabriel visited her. In that era, many girls were betrothed as youngsters, but they were not married until after they were capable of bearing children. Mary was most likely between the ages of 13 and 17 when the angel appeared to her. Physical immaturity wasn't the only reason for postponing a marriage. Most grooms didn't claim their bride until after they finished building a home for their new families. This home would often be attached to the groom's father's dwelling. Since Joseph was a builder, perhaps he was waiting to finish his house, or perhaps he was waiting to finish other people's houses so he could begin his own. Mary, an ordinary girl, was chosen by God for an exceptional mission. She would become the mother of the Messiah. She was highly favored. She wasn't granted special favor because she deserved it any more than we were granted salvation because we were deserving. God granted Mary favor and us salvation because he chose to do it. Woo, honey. Yes, amen. As a teenager, Mary agreed to perform a difficult task, present herself to her family, friends, and fiancé with an unexpected pregnancy and an astounding explanation. Consider all the men who balked when God asked them to do something. Moses protested that he didn't have a smooth tongue. Gideon said he was the least capable fellow in his family. Jonah fled on a ship. But when Gabriel told Mary she would bear the long-awaited Messiah, Mary said, "I am the Lord's servant." Gabriel mentioned that Mary's older relative Elizabeth was also expecting a miracle baby. Her son, conceived after years of infertility, was filled with the Holy Spirit even before his birth. When Mary visited Elizabeth after Gabriel's announcement, Elizabeth's 6-month-old fetus recognized the voice of the Holy Child's mother, Luke 1:42-45. Elizabeth also knew Mary's secret, even though the unborn Savior was probably smaller than a pea. At this point, Mary understood only part of God's plan for her son. She knew that God had worked a miracle in her womb. She knew she would be called blessed by future generations. She knew her son would fulfill God's promises made to Abraham and the people of Israel. But like most of us, she did not know what the future would bring. She didn't even know if she would survive the childbirth. Nevertheless, she trusted God. She faced several risks. First, under Mosaic law, a pregnant unmarried woman could have been put to death by the religious leaders. Second, the community could have expelled her from the synagogue and the town. And third, Joseph could have publicly shamed and divorced her, turning the entire town against her. But Mary trusted the Lord to handle her fears, and after hearing from an angel in a dream, Joseph took her into his home, which alleviated her other concerns. Mary remained humble after giving birth. When she met Simon and Anna at her purification ceremony in the temple, she learned her son would face opposition. She learned that a sword would pierce her soul, Luke 2:34-35. She might have noticed that Simon spoke to her alone when he mentioned the sword. He did not address Joseph. Though Mary had been granted a unique joy, she would also suffer a unique grief. Matthew 1:24 tells us that Joseph didn't know Mary intimately until after Jesus had been born, implying that they did consummate their marriage after the birth of the Holy Child. Luke 2:7 lets us know that Jesus was Mary's firstborn son, implying she had other sons later. When 12-year-old Jesus was missing after a trip to Jerusalem, his parents found him at the temple. Panic-stricken after 3 days of searching, Mary said, "Child, why do you do this to us? Look, your father and I were searching for you frantically." "Why were you searching for me?" Jesus asked them. "Didn't you know that I must be about the things of my Father?" Luke 2:48-49. Mary must have drawn a deep breath, silenced her urge to scold him, and reminded herself, "I am the Lord's servant." When at age 30, Jesus left his family's home and moved to Capernaum to begin his ministry. Mary watched him go, blinking back tears as she told herself, "I am the Lord's servant." After beginning his work, Jesus returned to speak at Nazareth synagogue, which, when he had finished, the people asked themselves, "Is this the carpenter's son? Isn't his mother called Miriam, and his brothers Jacob and Joseph and Simon and Judah, and his sisters? Aren't they all with us?" Matthew 13:55. We don't know if Jesus' brothers were in the synagogue that day, but they were nowhere in sight when Jesus' listeners became so incensed they nearly threw him over a cliff. Mary might have remained sitting in the women's section, remembering the lesson she'd been learning all her life. I am the Lord's servant. Later, when Mary heard about what had happened at the court of Jerusalem's great Sanhedrin, where paid informants lied and contradicted each other in the testimony about her son, she bowed her head in sorrowful silence. I am the Lord's servant. And when she stood in front of her son's cross, deserted by all but a few, she watched his face contort in agony and his lifeblood ebb away. When he said, "Woman, behold your son," indicating that she should leave with John, everything within her wanted to refuse, but she did not, because she was the Lord's servant. Oh my gosh, y'all. Mary suffered an agony unlike any other, yet she did not question God's will. "Behold, the servant of Adonai." She must have whispered time and time again, "Let it be done to me according to your word." Luke 1:38. Oh, honey. Oh my goodness. Amen, Mary. I'm reading these out loud like with y'all for the first time, so that got me. Moment for wonder. This Christmas, as we set up our nativity scenes and think about Mary, we should remember that her task was not a 9-month gig, but a lifetime commitment. Along with Joseph, Mary surely felt responsible for keeping Jesus safe, guiding his youthful choices and teaching him about the things that mattered most. Along the way, she learned to let go. Her son was not hers alone, so she could not cling to him. Are we clinging to things we should release to God? Old memories, expectations, selfish attitudes, or grudges? After the resurrection, Mary served as a repository of memories for the men who wrote the Gospels. She shared all the stories she had treasured in her heart, serving as a source of knowledge for the disciples and a fount of encouragement for new believers. Most of all, she served as an example of complete, unwavering faithfulness to God's calling. Surely we can do the same. Father, give us the strength to practice Mary's courage, faith, and steadfast loyalty to you. When things are going well, help us to demonstrate her sense of eager expectation. When we are suffering, help us to model her confident faith that you, our sovereign God, have promised to love, hold, and keep us till the pain subsides and afterward. Most of all, Lord, help us to model Mary's humility, for we are your servants. Amen. Wow. I needed that. I really did. Especially like as a parent, your heart just starts to break when you think about Mary and her position, like what it would have been like to be her, what she went through as well as a mom. Like, yeah, so impactful, y'all. So I don't want to keep y'all because it's already a long video with the whole HUBS stuff. Maybe over an hour at this point. So I know we filmed like 52 minutes. So I'm not going to keep y'all, but what a great devotional for today. I hope it blessed you as always. And tomorrow we'll talk about Joseph. Okay, Joseph the builder. We're talking about him tomorrow for day 18. All right, let's get on to the Advent calendar openings. Day 18. We're here. Let's let the HUBS go first.
All right, number 17. So this looks like another.
Did I say 17 or 18?
17. I don't know what she said, but it's, we're on 17. So here's another card pack. Oh, 18 looks small, so I wonder what that is.
I said 18.
Scarlet and Violet fun pack. So this is another. Oh, he's
more
cute.
Cards.
Well, that's what this Pokemon's all about, cards. What did you
I have gotten him an advent calendar that we're currently opening outside of this that's got like the little Funko Pops. They're really cute. I'll put a picture of them in here.
Once I open them all up as a set, you can see them.
Now, if you can see on the screen, they look really cool. It's like all the Pokemon.
And they're small enough to where they don't take up a lot of real estate.
So I got that for them after we already were doing this, but yeah.
Oh, we got an original. We got an OG. We got an OG.
Mankey. You've already got Mankey once, I think.
This is a different Mankey. There's several. Just like Pokemon, Squawkabill.
I swear you've gotten that too.
Yeah, I think I got this one. Oh, here's a reverse.
Bisharp?
Bisharp?
What is that, a bird?
Sword Blade Pokemon. Oh, it's a Sword Blade.
What is it, like Scyther or something?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but he's more of like a, I don't know. He's number
I don't know nothing about
625. He's 5'3". He's 154 pounds, apparently. I love how they give the stats on each Pokemon. It's kind of cool.
Blake's a nerd.
So,
I am too, though.
So anyways, yeah, that's that.
We made for each other at this point. All right, so day 17. I said yesterday.
Oh, is this the Gryffindor? No, not Gryffindor. Oh my gosh. The Hippogriff. Is
that what that is?
Yeah, it's a Hippogriff.
Don't ask. I don't know.
Gryffindor's day before, sorry.
So,
Hippogriff over there, yeah.
Right here. I wonder if it's this creature coloring thing on the back. I just noticed that.
Creature color?
What do you bet?
There's like a little mini, like a mini coloring thing? No way.
Not that I'd be coloring creatures from Harry Potter. I can't get this on.
What is it? What? Is that a letter?
Oh, I've got to keep him. It's a scroll. I've got to keep him here because he annoys Errol and Hermes. He always does. He annoys me too. Come to that. What does that mean? It's an owl. Oh, must be some quote in the thing. I don't remember.
This is a Ron Weasley quote apparently, but you can see the owl if it focuses there. Kind of cool.
Well,
I mean that's cute. See, it's got little trinkets.
Owl.
I mean. You might give that to Lucinda. Maybe she might want it too. She just gave all of it.
We're like, yeah, I don't know.
But hey, it's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, that was 17.
All right, day 17 done. Tomorrow we'll see y'all for day 18. Bye.
I think we're all screwed. I said Gryffindor when it's a Hippogriff. That's.
I might have said 18 instead of 17.
17.
So we're here to answer your questions. We got the HUBS Q&A. Let's go. I'm gonna pull up all the questions. We already answered some of these.
I feel like we had one another time, didn't we?
We did. It was another video answering more like the Christmas traditions.
No, I mean like even before that. I thought there was one. There was, yeah.
I'll link it below. We did one from last year. So there may be some repeat questions. I honestly don't remember, but we're here. So let me find the questions. We did a separate video, though, is what I was saying, with like anything that had to do with Christmas questions, such as like your favorite parts of Christmas, Christmas traditions, or favorite holiday foods. What is it? Favorite Christmas movies. There's some other, anything that had to do with Christmas. So if I get to one, I'll be like, oh, we already answered that in another video. That's coming. Should be tomorrow. I'm gonna make this like one day and then the next one the next day. So either way, I don't know what day this is. We're filming this, but we're here. We're just trying to get this done. So we just finished filming at the 23 in 2023. So that will be coming. That wrap up will be coming as well. So we'll be in the same clothes, but we getting here back to filming, okay? So all the logistics are done with that. Let's go ahead. So the first question is, do you have a favorite date story? I really liked when we went to Wilmington, like anytime we traveled. I really liked when we went to South Carolina, Charleston.
Those were trips though. I don't know if those were dates.
I know, but like we've been together.
Honestly though, we really didn't go on many dates, except in the beginning really, but.
Our first date.
Now that's a good story because, let me just say I went to eat and Amanda wouldn't eat, so she just wouldn't eat. That's kind of a funny.
Little background. So me and Blake, we started dating when I was 17. I was about to turn 18. So it was like January 2008, class of 08. And he graduated high school in 2006. And so he was actually, were you in college?
Feels like forever ago.
Were you in college?
I was starting community college.
Yeah.
I was 19.
That's right. So
I started a little bit.
I was like, ooh, I gotta be an older guy, you know. Just kidding. So I was like, never had a boyfriend before, and Blake was the first boyfriend I ever had. And really, I think I was your first long-term girlfriend too. So, yeah.
Yeah, long term, yeah.
Yeah. So, we started dating then, and he took me, I'd not been on any dates this
So we went to the movies, and we saw I'm Legend, which
was a zombie movie. And I was like, I'm not someone to watch this.
Which, if you know Will Smith's in that movie, if you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. It's one of his older, it's actually an older movie now. It's kind of hard to, that came out in what, 2007?
8.
Yeah, or 2008?
Anyways, definitely not a movie
long
that
time
I would
ago.
watch now. But we did go see that. But first we went to Steak and Shake to get something to eat. And I couldn't eat. I was
Did
so
you even
like,
drink water? Maybe
I don't know.
I think
I
they
was
give
so
you water.
nervous back then. So that's kind of the first date. I don't really know a favorite date. Maybe when we went to every year we go to a cabin in East Tennessee, and
those are kind of, I mean, those aren't
nice
like
trips and dates we had.
Yeah, those are like getaways, I guess. Those are always nice because you get like a couple's
We went to
cabin,
Florida a lot of times, but that was when we were in college and we had no money.
And we also, my brother used to live in Florida, which now he lives in Texas. So he lives,
So we went there and we would stay with them, but we didn't really do a whole lot besides go to the beach, right? So those are okay trips, but like it's so much more fun when you work and have money that you can go spend more time and stuff, make more effort for a trip. But
now that you have a kid, you probably don't have any more time, or even though you have,
now that we have a kid, honey, where are we going? Our date is at the house.
Until he gets older, it's hard, but
we'll get there. The Lord's got plans. Anyway, I guess that's the best answer I got for that. So we'll move on. Number 2, have I got you to read any of my favorite books? Well,
any of your favorite books?
Blake does not read.
The answer would be no.
He does not read for fun. He's not a reader. But let's move on to number 3, because if I could pick a book for you to read, what would it be? And Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I really want him to read it. I know Tolkien's writing, we done said this in the last video we filmed. You'll see it soon. But how his writing is a little bit harder to read. And so
I got through about halfway, maybe a quarter of The Hobbit, but it just, the way it's written, it's a cool, nice little story, but it just, his it is kind of, you have to really be into, maybe if I listen to the Andy Serkis.
I think if you listen to
does he do The Hobbit too, or just
the
Lord of the Rings? Okay.
He has a really good narration where he sounds just like the characters.
Yeah.
And to me, it's more like watching a movie, listening to him.
Yeah, and so that would be easier for me.
I struggled reading Lord of the Rings without the audiobook too. So.
Now, the other one, I did read the first couple Harry Potters, but that's when they was really young. I didn't read any of the later, actual, I guess, better Harry Potter.
That's when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the answer for that. Number 4, your testimonies / love story. So, testimony to faith. Okay, so real quick, I already have a video about my faith Q&A that kind of tells a little bit about this. But faith-wise, I grew up in church for first little bit of my life, maybe like first several years, off and on. I'll say that. I guess I really didn't grow up in church, but I was in church off and on, knew about the Lord, all that stuff. And my dad got sick when I was 13, so he had a massive heart attack, quadruple bypass, and we did not go to church anymore after that. Like, my mom worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. He couldn't work. My dad was in construction, so he couldn't work. All this stuff. So, fast forward to when I'm 17, 18 years old. Me and Blake start dating, and then I have, like, friends that I'm hanging out with that I didn't need to be hanging out with at the time. Lots of clubs and drinking and all those things happen. And it was just a crazy time from our first late teens and early 20s of that stuff. And then come when I moved out here to go to work, go to school, I moved 2 hours away from those friends I didn't be hanging out with. The Lord, he really sought me out. I don't know. It's just like all of a sudden we started going to this new church, and it was a non-denominational church, and I really felt like I'd been seen, and just felt like the Lord really like showed me his love in that moment. And then I just realized like it was all of a sudden how the Lord had already been taking care of me. And even when I didn't see it, didn't want to see it, he was working and taking care of me and keeping me safe. And that's the brief overview of me coming back to my faith when I was 25. Now, Blake.
Yeah, I didn't actually grow up in church. I come from a divorced family, but the only time I ever went to church was with a friend or somebody that I knew. Like, I didn't have my own church to go to. It would have been nice if I did, but yeah. So I grew up not knowing hardly anything about the Lord, as sad as that is to admit, but yeah.
Well, that's not your fault.
But you know, I always believed in God and the Lord was there, but it's just like, you know, I think it kind of like you know, when me and Amanda started going to the church, our church that she's talking about. I don't know if you mentioned. So yeah, it's never too late to start, as they say.
Yeah, and I think
which is good. So that's just kind of my backstory. I don't really.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both at different places in our faith walk, but we're both learning every week. We learn more. And I think one thing I talked about in one of my videos, Blake, is I want us to do more Bible studies together. We've talked about it. Yeah. And we've done some in the past.
There's even the show that was it
The Chosen. You want to watch that a little bit more.
I've seen the Bible, the miniseries, which I think that's pretty good.
That was good. And just like trying to grow in faith. I think that's going to be an ever-changing thing for both of us together. But I mean, I had more of like this testimony than he would call it, but he was open to learning about it.
Yeah, I didn't really have
coming to God.
I didn't have a.
There's not like a massive.
I didn't have a coming to Jesus moment. Now, if you've seen the Phil Robertson's movie, he had a coming to Jesus moment.
You didn't have a lot of trauma. I would say.
I didn't really. No,
a divorced home, but
I didn't really have. No, I grew up in a good home. You know, my dad made good money, but I didn't. You know, I never. Yeah.
You never wanted for anything.
I didn't come from a bad home. My parents were divorced.
Yeah. For me, my parents had a lot of financial stuff going on, and I kind of went through that.
Yeah, you had that struggle for sure.
Yeah, we didn't have
that, and that's trauma too, obviously. And traumatic.
Then you start to rebel, and really, I feel like where I didn't want anything to do with the Lord, I really didn't at the time. Before that, my mom kept trying to push it, and I was saying no, and all this stuff when I was in my early teens and 20s, and it's because of those friends I had that were just not
bad influences.
They were bad influences for sure, and it was like this moment at that church when I realized that didn't need to be running no more, you know, and he protected me and my friends, and all those nights we went out doing stupid things, even when I didn't want to see it. And ever since then, it's just history.
He was there to even have your mom show up and be in the right place. You know what I'm talking about? At the right time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how that works out. But yeah, your mom was always there.
My mom be running out looking for me. Me and my friends out doing stuff we shouldn't have been doing.
That's when your mom shines, is she's so little over. Yeah.
She did not she wasn't about to let nothing take hold of me. So, you know, I feel like that's now that we're parents, I can definitely see where she was coming from, and it's just, you think you know everything when you're early 20s, you know. So, but Blake, like going back to what he's saying, he is a believer. You know, you're a believer. You make that clear. You are a believer. But just continue to grow.
I just don't have a coming to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
It would have, you know, I know you had more of that than I do.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that don't have that kind of story. They're usually like, well, I've always known the Lord. I've always known. You know, they don't really have that coming to Jesus moment either, because they've always been that way in their home. Or others that just come to know him because they start to believe and they see, kind of like you, and then we got baptized and all of that. So yeah, that's kind of the testimony side of things. Without getting too deep, a lot of times I get emotional with that, but I'm trying to run through that real quick, so I didn't.
As far as the love story, I don't know. What do you?
I don't know.
It's
wasn't always good.
I mean, as any long-term relationship, it's never perfect.
No, I would say when we graduated college, things were great.
Yeah, it was life was a lot easier.
Before college, graduation, I was 22, he was 23. We had a lot of issues. And a lot of that, again, is because of what I just said in the previous part, you know, of the bad influence of friends and all these different things. So when you're out doing those sort of things, your relationship's not going to do that great either. And again, that's another reason I said the Lord, he saw me through that. And he was, you got to continue to work. Even in your marriage, you got to continue to work together, continue to date each other, make time for one another, all these different things. And no relationship's perfect, but I feel like we still work at things every single day. And, you know, we got more questions about kids and stuff. But even before then, we didn't get married till I was 26. So, you know, there was 2008 up till 2016. We didn't live together till what, 2012? Yeah, after we graduated. I don't know when we graduated college. 2012. And then, you know, we didn't even get married until 2016. I bought my house when I was 24, so I bought the house before we even got married. So just that kind of stuff, you know. And I don't know, we just, I don't even know what else to say other than we just kept working on our relationship the whole time, and we've always loved each other, but we struggled with some things early on. And I think a lot of people that, if you need, like I like, you know, like in the Phil Roberts movies, she said she was going to keep working to make their marriage work. They had a whole different set of problems, but that nothing like what we ever had. But like they had their own set of problems, and she was going to keep working to make it work out. And so she did that. And so I feel like we really worked together too to try to make everything work out best we could. And we just knew we were meant for each other because we're the same. That's another question like, somewhere. Somebody asked.
It's good to have similar. Now, I don't read a lot of books, so I say it's good to have similar interests.
I didn't read a lot back then, no, either.
But, you know, whether it's game, like Amanda used to play more gaming back in the day.
Yeah, we played a lot of games. We had common interest. Yeah. It was just we had a lot more in common than we do now, but I still can, you know, I support him and what he likes to do. He supports me and what I like to do, and that's good, you know. Yeah. I feel like since I had my channel, that really helped us in our marriage because I have my thing to do and he has his game stuff to do, and we each need our own me time as well, so. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I really answered it. Not very good at explaining things, but.
I think we answered most of it. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a two-part question, but. Yeah.
But have any funny stories together? Well, I mean, in, what, 15 years?
Oh, well, there is the one. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I've told your chat this, but one time, and I know you know what I'm going to say, right? So, one time we were going to the movies, and Amanda was driving, right? Normally I drive everywhere. She was in her car. So, you know, I'm getting out to go pay and get the tickets or whatever. It was just me and her or whatever. So, I get out of the car, and I told Amanda, I said, hey, just wait right here. I'll be right, you know. So it's sort of like a line there.
Somebody else coming in front of me.
So anyways, so, you know, she's just waiting there. You know how people like get behind you, whatever. So I'm up at the window, buy it, whatever. So I get back and, you know, spacing out, not realizing. So I get into the car, which I think is her car. Wasn't her car. It was just some random car. So I get in, and no, it was a guy. It was a guy. What it was is I get in the car, right, not realizing, you know, just like spaced out for a minute, put the seatbelt. I actually almost had the seatbelt on, not really. The guy was in the car, and there was like a car seat in the back, and I was like, I must have been out of it, like literally. I was like really tired that day, but yeah, it's the most embarrassing moment I've ever had. So the guy, he didn't say a word. He was a younger guy too. He just kind of looked stunned, and I was like, I said, well, my girlfriend was right here, and she drove off, I guess. So sorry. So I get out of the car, just shut the door. And so Amanda was like, I think you had pulled her out again at that point. Because again, you know, normally when you get out and go back. Me. Yeah. And I told her, I was like, why did you move? Because I was like coming right back. I just said, because she was weird, didn't want to wait. Like she was holding somebody up. And I said, you could have sat right there.
That's been a long time ago though.
That was yeah, I would say that was
19 years old.
I was probably 19 or 20.
Yeah, I am 33 now.
So that's the most, it's funny for her. It's embarrassing for me. That's the only really funny story that I know of. But that didn't really involve us. That was just me having a dumb moment.
It's hard when you put on the spot to remember stuff.
But honestly, I still remember that because again, it was just like, you know, I remember vividly.
So the next question was about our Christmas traditions and favorite holiday foods and snacks. We've already filmed a video on that, so that'll be coming as well. Next question is, how did he propose? Well, it took him long enough, I'll tell you that.
It was in our living room right here. I don't know if she's ever showed you our living room, but it's right in the next room. Yeah, so with the tree. So yeah. It was I guess it was better late than never. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. New Year's Eve, 2014.
Yeah.
And it took us a year and a half to get married. I don't know what it was. We were just, he's an accountant, so he's like very financial minded. So he was like,
no, it's not even that. I think at the time I just didn't really want to get married. You know, some people want to get married.
Well, I was there trying to say he's financial minded. No,
and the other part is too, it's kind of like even having kids, like for the longest time, I never saw myself with a kid. I guess because as Amanda says, oh, you're selfish. Well, I mean, most everybody is to an extent.
Well, we've always said that about ourselves for a long time. And I mean, I was 29 when we had our kid, and you were 31. He picked out the ring, and I mean, I'll put a picture of it in here. It don't fit my fingers no more. I need to lose weight, but and his don't fit his either. So
it barely fits.
Barely fits. But he picked out the ring at Kay's, and he did a really good job. And yeah, I mean, it was like awkward because
Well,
we're
it's
not
just
like the most romantic people in the
no.
world.
I'm definitely not. Yeah, if
So-
anybody doesn't know me, I can be kind of funny, but I'm not a romantic.
He's not like a romantic guy.
I'm not a what's his name, Darcy. I'm not a Darcy.
We have that witty banter, you know.
Although
like,
I'm kind of weird like Darcy. Yeah, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Anyways.
But so he was kind of awkward, but it was sweet at the same time, and I think he hit it in the tree.
Amanda's just like,
Remember?
yeah, I did. Yeah, Amanda was just like, better late than never. No, I'm
He
just
hid
kidding.
the ring box in the tree. He's like, go over there and find it, and it was sweet. So
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I did. I didn't do it out in public or anything. You know, honestly, growing up my whole life, I never like even before Amanda, I was never into PDA and all that stuff. And, you know,
we don't even hold hands in public.
there are people like that do that a lot, and I was never that type of guy. So not that
he's a very private.
I'm very
person.
private,
and
so
that's okay.
so
It's
even when I
okay.
proposed, it was in private.
Yeah,
so
and
as you
that's
can tell,
okay.
so it's
It doesn't have to be public. So, what book or book couple reminds you of your relationship the most? This is more for me. I think Juniper Bean.
what book?
Juniper Bean.
What book cover?
And,
Is that
no, what book?
Oh.
Like what couple?
Yeah, book.
Juniper
okay.
Bean and
Book
Aiden.
couple.
Juniper Bean resorts to murder. They remind me of how we are, just from like the banter standpoint, because they're kind of like a grumpy sunshine, and that's kind of our trope. Is like we're usually back and forth, like lots of roasting each other and laughing and joking and all that stuff, and just the way they interact. And she's kind of quirky, and he's very serious, you know, a little bit. It's just like the way they are together. I think that would be it. You share a book that you enjoy. No, but
Yeah, I mean, if it was, it would be The Hobbit or Lord of the
but
Rings.
I added to that movies, and so we do have a video coming out with our favorite movies, but it would be Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I think those are some, and all that stuff.
Now we do have a show we've watched from the very beginning.
And that was Outlander.
Yeah, it was
We
Outlander.
still
Now that's
watch
something
it,
that I know Amanda's getting off the Outlander thing, but that was something we
did
watched
watch
together.
that since we started.
And Amanda's read,
watching it.
as you know, she's read all the books. So,
Yeah. They know about my journey with
But
it.
I guess as far as a show, whether it's Lord of, that was pretty much the only like series we watched together. I guess was Outlander.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched.
We talked more about that in another video.
Yeah. So
that'll come out tomorrow. Have you ever read the same book and had different feelings on it? No, because we don't read. He don't read, so we're going to skip that.
Sorry.
What about have you ever watched movies and had different feelings on it?
Have we ever watched movies in different feelings?
I couldn't remember right off. Like nothing stands out to me, but you really liked Avatar, and I didn't love it.
Yeah, but that's not really a good example. I mean, there's series. It's kind of a something we watched together, and I guess you're kind of indifferent with it.
It's hard to remember.
Yeah,
we had a hard time even in that video tomorrow, like trying to figure out what movies we watched and TV shows because it was really late at night. So there's a lot of stuff we forgot, probably, but. I don't know. It's just most of the stuff we watch, we both generally like. The worst movie we ever went and seen in theaters though was this one called Shudder, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We walked out.
Yeah,
it was
it's the only movie, and honestly,
it's before we come back to Jesus, but it was like
this was, and I've seen a lot even before Amanda. Amanda didn't go to the movies or whatever.
I never went to movies before I met you.
It takes a lot to be really bad where you just walk out of there. I think that one was.
It
was laughably bad. That's how bad
Dawson's
it was.
Creek. He played in Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, and it was just like the most. It was the cheesiest movie I think I've ever seen.
It's something about something to take the picture and it like. I don't know what it is. Anyway,
it was like
some kind of murder movie.
Yes.
We walked out there. Somebody asked me about advice for starting Bookstagram, and I have a whole video down below for advice for Booktube tips and stuff. I think you could kind of relate to that, a lot of that with Booktube or Bookstagram as well. I didn't want to do a whole video on that, but I want to mention for me, Bookstagram, I think that if you are just consistent in your content, use Canva for even if you don't pay for it. They've got a lot of good free stuff on there. Get used to doing some different types of graphics. A lot of people have those flat lays, like you can get like some stuff at Hobby Lobby for your backgrounds with books and stuff. I don't do that, but you can always look at different accounts and kind of see different people's aesthetics, all that stuff, and just have fun with it and don't compare yourself is what I always say to everybody else. And follow a lot of people as well that you are like interested in following and kind of curate your follow list, and a lot of them will follow you back as well. And then use hashtags, like do the word tag in the comment and then do like a hashtags as that way versus the post, because it gives you more room to type a text in the post, and then you don't have to worry about like count limits and stuff because that's like hiding away from people. Anyway, that's kind of my quick version, but I do have a video down below for like Booktube tips and stuff that probably is relatable. It's before I used Canva, but it's relatable for Bookstagram. So there's that. And then what's a challenge in your marriage that you're willing to share that you faced, and how did you come out on the other side?
In our marriage?
Well, I mean, I don't know that we're on the other side yet, but I say we're going through right now. That's another question.
I mean, I guess being a parent is that's our biggest challenge.
There's another question where someone said,
I think that's our challenge.
How has your relationship changed since having a kid? We can tie those in.
It's very different.
I'd say
anybody
that's
that's been married and have a kid, it's the hardest
Well,
thing.
and not just having a kid. I think having a kid with special needs, that's the hard part. It's not just having a kid. But when you have a child who cannot communicate directly with you and doesn't fully understand, and all these challenges,
it's like he may understand, but he can't tell you. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's got. It's almost like,
or you might say, "Get down, get down, get down." Like right now, it's always something different.
And another kid might stop and look at you. He 9 out of 10 won't do that, even if you're saying, "Hey, get down, get down." So it's like it's challenging.
It's just the nature of autism. Every kid, if you know one kid with autism, you know one kid with autism. They're all different. And our son's made a lot of progress, but he's still got a lot of work to do. And so I think that for us, we struggle with, number one, we don't get enough time together.
Yeah, I mean, so going back to dating your spouse, like we rarely have time to go on a date or go out to eat, and going even out to eat.
Anywhere by yourself,
So we just don't have a lot of extra support to watch our kid. Like some people have that extra support, I guess.
Yeah, so that's tough. That is like time to yourself, is what I want to say. Because a lot of times we each want like me time, and you can't get that. And that's just like the nature of parenting in general. But when you don't take care of yourself and you don't get that support you need to go out with your spouse and have a break, you get a lot of things quickly to be frustrated. You're quickly frustrated easily. And then you end up taking you out on each other and all this stuff, or all that just crazy stuff. So a challenge, I think, is continually just parenting a child with special needs. I think that's the first thing we ever really experienced. Even before we had a kid, I think that was probably it. Yeah,
we've always had decent jobs. So, like for some people, finances is pretty, is a hard thing on a marriage.
I think that we differ a little bit in finances and stuff sometimes, but not really. We're on the same page mostly.
No, the kid, the kid's the biggest. It's the biggest hurdle, so it's not.
He's an accountant, so we're both pretty good with the money stuff. But that stuff, parenting, it's tough. But I think, like we said, the Lord's going to get us through it.
Now, maybe our perspective might be different if he didn't have autism. Probably, if that would be another question.
Yeah, I mean, I think that every parent still needs a break, but
it is what it is. I can't take it. It is what it is.
I don't feel like it would be such a struggle if he knew and was able to do what we needed him to do without having that constant parent support there at all times.
Right. Now maybe it'll get there in the next 5 years. He's already 5. 5.
It'll be 5.
But he's got another 5 years to grow.
Yeah.
So
I think that we'll look back. One day we'll look back and realize, just like every so many years, you're gonna look back and see how good the Lord's been in your marriage and in your life, and we have to just be more intentional. That's one thing. We have to be intentional with each other. Me and him sometimes have to have those come to Jesus talks of, okay, we need to make sure we plan time together. Because a lot of times as he goes to bed, we're off doing our own thing, but we don't come back together for ourselves to have that.
Unless it's like watching a show or
watch something, And we have to make sure we have home date nights. Like, let's make popcorn, have some snacks, watch a movie on a Friday, Saturday night, because that could be our date night. We have our comfort of home, and we need to remember that home is not just like, a prison. It's a safe haven, and we can make our home a safe haven at times. So I don't know. That's just it's not much of a challenge that's over with, I guess.
So being a parent of special needs, that's
your
answer.
We're not on the other side, and I don't think we will ever be on the other side.
The other side is once he, it's easy,
a little more. And we still don't know if he will be or how much of that he will be, but again, we're just going to keep praying through it, and I know the Lord's going to get us through it.
He might not be rid of, he's always going to have autism, I guess is what I'm trying to say. He won't fully rid of it. He might be able to cope with it better once he's older, depending on how severe it is.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we both believe he's not going to be nonverbal. I think he'll be.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to talk. He says a lot.
Because there are some people that can you know, fully function and talk. They're, you know, but they're labeled as all, you know, autistic or whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I feel like too, like they don't diagnose Asperger's anymore. I don't know if y'all know anything about that.
They just tie it into autism.
That's all autism. Yeah. And if you think
they
about
did
that,
back in the
like people with Asperger's were more like they high functioned and stuff, that they might be a little socially awkward. I kind of feel like that's him, but again, we don't really know yet, and there's a worry there. But I think the Lord's going to take care of it. So
because there's some that are just never verbal.
Yeah, but I mean, he's saying a lot of stuff right now, so. We'll get there, but that's a challenge we continue to go through. So keep us in prayer on that for sure, just like I'm saying. All right, Blake, what did you think about me starting a channel? And what do you think about like the Booktube community? And do you watch all my videos? So first, what do you think about me starting a channel? What did you think?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think for a while there, Amanda, you know, would watch other booktubers, but you know, I know before coming, you know, she'd watched other, you know, channels that now she would say, oh, I don't watch that anymore. But I think I remember even when she watched it, it was like it's almost like, you know, I guess I could tell you kind of wanted to do it, you know, and they're like, oh, I always wanted to do it, but I never really asked what made you just say, I'm just gonna do a channel. Here's my first video. I don't know.
For me, I had to go present in front of a bunch of
that's right, yeah. And that's really what prompted her to do it. That's right.
I was able to do it, and I was like, hey, I can do this YouTube thing.
Yeah, like if I can do that, I can do it.
I had to present for a work thing, and I found Christian BookTube. So like I didn't want to do it because I didn't really read a lot of like what the popular stuff was. I mean, I was, but like I didn't want to talk about that because it was a bit more like I don't want to put myself out here talking about this
secular or whatever, non-Christian,
I didn't want to read this like trash that everybody's reading. Sorry, but there was a lot of stuff that had smut, and I was like, I'm not reading this.
Yeah.
And so, but there was like a lot of things I was like, I don't want to talk about that like publicly because I had a job. I didn't want to like do that stuff. But talking about Christian stuff, I felt like I'd be okay, right? And I found Christian BookTube, and I was like, I'm doing this. And I found Oshina and Lindsay for Books for Christian Girls. I Love It with Holly, Celestia. I found like all these people, Amy. And I was like, there's a community of Christian creators out here doing the thing. Some of these good, clean reads. And I think a lot of us didn't even realize that there were these type of books out here. I didn't. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah.
Adding to that question, I think it came at a very good time because again, in our marriage where it was challenging, right? You've only had it for a little over a year now. Almost 2 years. You've had your channel for about 2 years, but I think before then, you know, Amanda didn't really.
I didn't have any hobbies.
Yeah, she didn't. I've always had it's my set hobby that I like to do.
And I quit playing my games.
But she really didn't have a hobby, and I guess when you have a little kid that's 3 years old, it's challenging.
He could go play a game, but I couldn't play games with him anymore, and I was like, I don't have anything I could do.
Yeah, it's like she grew out of that, which is fine. You know, you
I like
have
the games.
interests.
I like the Switch games, so you know, Switch games are fun. But like,
I feel like you starting that channel was able to kind of give you a hobby that I feel like you needed.
Oh yeah.
So for me, I think it was really good. It also helped our marriage in a different, weird way. But I think so.
I think we each need our own outlet and things.
I think if you're married, you have to at least have whether you do it together or not. Like you have to, because if you if you don't do anything, you're gonna go stir crazy. 100%.
Yeah.
So even if you're not reading,
we don't really have any friends in real life.
Yeah, we're not one of those that go. Obviously, we don't go out that much because what we just told you about our kid, but. Yeah. Our situation now, if you were to ask, well, if you didn't have a kid, honestly, I don't know if we'd go back. We'd do more trips, but I don't think we're not going out, oh, we're going to go
out to eat with so-and-so, which we moved away. We moved away 2 hours away from our hometown.
I feel like you have more friends now than you did. You know, they're all in your book, you know. Like,
well, no, I'm talking about real life.
Well, I know.
I'm not talking about here. I got tons of them out there.
No, I'm saying I know, but I'm saying even before, like that's what I'm saying. Even before that, you had, you know, I don't have to name names. We had a couple of friends, but
we had a few, I guess, but they moved, and my coworkers are friends, but it's like not like where we.
They don't share the same interests.
Yeah, like we wouldn't hang out outside of work much. You know,
that's like me. I know people. I'm like, well, they don't have the same interests as me. You know what I'm saying? So that's common.
We're each other's best friends. What do you think about the Booktube community?
I think they're great. I mean, they
always read the comments.
Yeah, some of them they seem very supportive. So that's always good to have, whether you're a small YouTuber or you're
I love it because
have a million subs or whatever. It's always good to have a very supportive community.
Yeah, I love it because the comments, that's what means the most. I've always said that.
So, do I watch all of her videos? I don't watch all of them. There are certain videos I'll watch, you know, if it has me in it and I want to see if I'm looking like an idiot. But a lot of the stuff she talks about, again, I don't read the same, so I won't know. Unless I just want to see what she's talking about, I won't really know what it is or have anything to relate to.
Yeah, the vlogs. He watches the vlogs. Basically.
I'll watch some spin-off content is what I call it. It's not really your main the Booktube part.
Yeah.
But
how are you alike and how are we different? We've answered a lot of that throughout this video.
We've always shared common interests. We're very similar. I guess different that you've always loved to read and I normally don't like to read. And that was just me growing up. Even when you were younger, you always loved to read. Yeah. So that's definitely how we're different.
You're very neat and I'm not.
Yeah, I'm a clean freak, neat person.
And I'm messy as all get out.
Yeah, and that's part of it.
I could be disorganized, but I know where most of my stuff is, but.
Yeah, I've typically always been organized and
very organized.
Like me, we have a key ring next to our door, and as soon as I come home, I always hang my keys up. And Amanda, she'll just set them down wherever. And then the next day, she doesn't know where they're at.
It's wherever.
And I'm like,
everywhere.
And I say this to everybody, I'm like, if you just hang it on the key ring, you'll never lose your keys because it's right there.
Get an air tag to put on there.
So there's little things like that seem like a no-brainer. Right.
So it's worked out for me.
I'm not perfect, because, and again, I'm not like, OCD organized, a neat freak. But I
you
can
like to have things more of a certain way.
But when it comes to my car and certain things, I like it very certain way.
Special interest stuff.
Yeah, but as far as taking the trash out, I might not do it anyway. So yeah, it's just
there's certain things that we're all different.
But I will say I'm pretty good about hanging the key and just little things like that.
Yeah.
And you'll set it down and it's like the abyss. You don't know.
It's like, where did it go? Where did it go?
You set it down on our island there, it's gone. It's gone. I'm like, I don't know where it is.
Where's the remote? We always lose with it. How are you alike? One thing I'll say is we're very nerdy. So of course, like I said, we love
Lord of the Rings, very
and
nerdy.
Kind of fantasy stuff. I don't want to watch anything explicit, so he might watch a little bit more than I would, but like he liked Vikings, and I didn't really want to watch that.
That's kind of 16 kind of relates to that.
What's 16?
What do you love?
What do you love about one another?
Yeah, it's kind of. I feel like we've kind of answered some of that too. Yeah, I think. That's probably Amanda's best quality is the giving part of it, which also relates to that's something I struggle with because I've never always been.
I'm a very giving person.
Yeah,
and always that's like my love language. I love to give gifts and help people
out. And you're the type of person that you don't want to receive; you just like giving. You want to see somebody happy, and that's why you love to give, which I think is very good. I struggle with that. It's just not something I've always been able to do.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's one thing. I don't know what you love about me, but
you're the best. The HUBS.
At least I said you're giving. I don't really have much.
You do. You are you would listen to me, and anytime you always ask about my day, you want to know what's going on, check in. You're very listener. You're a very good listener, I feel like, for me.
Sometimes, yeah. Now,
everybody's on their phone, sure, but a lot of times I've heard people say that their man doesn't listen to them at all. They don't have any conversations. You're very open to having conversations about things.
Yeah, it's hard because when you get home, just it's 2024 now, so everybody's on their tablet or their phone, right? The phone is literally the modern day newspaper.
To me, you're good about having conversations when things are whatever. You don't bottle things up. We don't hold grudges.
No.
One thing,
that's one good thing in marriage, and it's very important. Yeah, we don't hold grudges. No, and you're not supposed to hold a grudge anyways.
If you have a fuss, we don't go to bed angry. 9 times out of 10, we're not gonna go to bed angry.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes later, come in there. If you need time apart for a minute, and then you come in there, and we're like, "You love me?" That's what we do.
Yeah.
And so, we just go together like peanut butter jelly, And I think that for us, the common interest stuff is a big part of it because, we're both very, like I said, just nerdy and into you're good about decorating stuff. I cannot stand it. Blake will be hanging my pictures for me. It'd be great. You know, I'm not one to decorate, so he always has a good input on like what should we do at the house.
I think a lot of that, again, because I come from a divorced family, so I didn't have a mom in the house, so I kind of just, you know.
His dad raised
my
him.
dad was like, yeah, he raised me, so I kind of like, I mean, my dad's not a decorator, so I guess that's kind of where I get that from. Yeah. It's just the way I grew up a little bit. A lot of times if you come home and your mom, you know, she's going to decorate the house, right? I didn't have that, so.
So they kind of worked through that together growing up. And so I like that because I do not like
as far as like Christmas lights and like hanging a picture there, I'm kind of more than a normal man would.
Okay, that's right, you know. So
yeah, I'm good at that, pretty good at that stuff.
The Lord, He knew what He was doing when He put us together.
How about your
dream vacation?
Well, we've always said we want to either go to. I'm cool with Scotland, but I always said like New Zealand just because of they have a whole
Hobbit tours.
They literally have a whole Hobbit area. I mean, it literally
it's like a tour.
Literally looks just like in the movie. I mean, it's like a dream movie.
Is New Zealand?
Like I'm telling you, like it literally looks just like the Hobbit.
I don't know that we'll ever get there because I'm scared to fly. So
it is, and honestly, that's all straight. That's literally on the other side of the world if you think about it from where we're at. So it's literally. But now Scotland, I think, would be close. Yeah, Scotland's technically closer than.
I would love to do that.
Now I've already been not to Scotland, but I have been over there. It's really not. It's It's
you went to Ireland and London.
Yeah.
Right.
But honestly, even when I was there, you're only there for like literally almost a week. It was like 5 days, but it's like you're there so fast, you don't really get to take it in, right? You know, it's like say I do remember it, but it's like I wasn't there a month. Yeah. Or 6 months, or really get to experience it.
I know a lot of people, they'll at least take 2 weeks when they go international travel.
Yeah.
Try to take that
so off. I did, it was a good week trip, and, so it was really fun. It would have been cool to go to Scotland, though, just to see, it's just... That would be cool. The scenery out there is just, it's incredible.
I love the ambience videos. Would you live anywhere else besides where you are now? No. I love Tennessee.
I think this is, as far as the United States, I think Tennessee, where we're at is probably, unless you want to live, but honestly, unless you live on the ocean, you got to worry about hurricanes. If you got to depend on where you live.
And we don't get that much bad weather. The tornadoes can be rough.
They pretty much die off before they get to it. And we have mountains.
I mean, we had a really bad tornado in 2020.
Honestly, that's like a 1 out of 50, 20. It's a rarity when it happens. It's not something that happens all the time. So
that's the only concern that I've had, and I didn't even have that concern really until the 2020 tornado.
Yeah, it's really not, because honestly, that if you look it up in the history, I'm pretty sure it's like 1 every what? Before that year is probably, I'd have to look at the history. It was probably pretty unheard of.
But, I mean, for the most part, we don't get a ton of snow. I can't stand it.
Not anymore. Now, when I was younger, Tennessee did get more snow, but again, global warming, right? Yeah, it is a thing, and apparently now it's very, we don't. Now the area where we live, they do get a little bit more, because we're on the plateau, it does get more snow.
Middle Tennessee gets more than East Tennessee did.
Now, East Tennessee, it was all the way down in the valley. Yeah, it never got any snow.
Because we grew up in
Now, again, when we were young, you probably remember, there was a big snow that did come through there.
We had a couple little blizzards come through.
Even where we were, no, I'm sure even if it was here, they probably got a lot of snow, but anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, so we would probably stay here. How did you meet? My friend Laura, she worked with Blake at Goodies and introduced us back then. So.
Yeah, she's like, hey, you want to meet my friend? I was like, yeah, sure.
It's funny because at first I was like,
I was like, I was young. I was what, 9? I didn't care.
At first I was like, I don't know about Blake.
No, I mean, but I mean, how did they? Was it Sean or who showed you a picture of me? How did you okay? Y'all meet him?
I think Laura.
Laura did. And you're like,
we looked at your MySpace.
Oh yeah, oh man. You look at my MySpace.
Throwback. We looked at his.
So MySpace. Laura, you guys found me on MySpace.
Well, she was trying to show me a picture of you from MySpace and stuff. So But Blake was older and different than any guy I'd ever dated, or not dated. I didn't date.
Well, I was technically older, by 2.
And it was funny because at first I was like, I don't know how to take him, but then we started hanging out again about a month later after we first met, and the rest is history. So, and then favorite movies and TV shows. We already talked about that in another video. How did you know the other person was the one? We just did.
I don't know. That's kind of a funny trick question. Yeah, it just I think especially when you're dating somebody, you want to.
The common interest, I think, that's hard to find, a girl that likes to game. So I think I knew Blake was, I was saying I love you for 4 months. So, 3 or 4 months. So, the rest is history. So, if you could go anywhere in the world to experience Christmas, where would you go?
That kind of ties into what Scotland.
We already answered that in tomorrow's video.
Right.
Relationship trope.
And what does that mean?
What is your relationship trope? Like enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, that kind of stuff. I say we are grumpy sunshine.
Is that really a thing? I didn't know that's what they called it.
Like one person is usually like the high energy sunshine person. That's me. And the other person is usually kind of like, they're not like rant, but like kind of like just like more serious, grumpy-ish, like not as like, I don't want to say grumpy because it sounds like negative, but like just like, hey, you know, like you're not really. You do have some high energy stuff.
I do, yeah. Like right now we're filming. It's kind of like it's late at night, so I'm just like, I don't know, I'm probably boring you to death now.
I feel like a lot of it is that. I mean, we were not friends before we started dating. So I can't say friends to lovers. I don't know. I always just say that. We have witty banter more than anything, I guess. That's a thing we have.
What's the last question?
If your love story was a book, what would the title be?
Okay, so
I know the answer to this.
So
I picked one that I've read.
If your love story was a book, what would the title be?
It's a very hard question, okay? But I picked one of the Tammy O. Gray books, and I picked Love and the Silver Lining, okay? Because for me, one thing I'll say about Blake is he was my silver lining in life because stuff was crazy at home.
So what Amanda's wanting to say is, had she not met me, who knows? There's no telling what she'd be doing.
Yeah. Well,
so what kind of trouble she'd be in, right?
I was on a downward path, and I will say, if I didn't meet Blake, there's no telling. And I'm just saying I'm not perfect. Yeah, there's nobody is. But nobody's perfect. But he was like going to college, and he was ambitious, had a career goals.
I had goals I wanted to do.
And he was just very smart.
And obviously I didn't meet all of them, but
didn't do all those crazy things, and so. You know, it was one of those good things where he was the one I needed. The Lord put him right there. That's what I say. So I guess, I don't know if that's like if it's even a silver lining is the word, but that's one thing. Maybe love and a dream come true, honey. I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's hard to come up with a title. But those are some of the ones I was trying to think of, like ones I'd read.
I think for me, you're probably the only girl that could stand to be around me for more than a week or two. So honestly, there's that too. I was like, well, I found somebody who can put up with my my crap.
We can't say this, okay? I had to cut something out, but anyway, we here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the truth, though. That's really what it is. It's like,
well, I put up with him. There's that. I don't know.
So I guess if it wasn't for Laura. Never would
I know.
I guess if you didn't meet Laura, I guess you got something to say.
I know. Thank the Lord for her.
All right, we're done.
That is all the questions after 50 minutes of filming this.
Oh my gosh.
So
Amanda's gonna have to cut about 10 or 15 minutes probably.
We'll see. I think I answered everybody's questions. Sorry if I missed anything, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
A lot of it you might answer in tomorrow's video, as apparently you're gonna see this tomorrow. I didn't realize she's doing this tomorrow. I don't know when you're posting. Oh, I get it. She's going to post. Yeah, it'll be the next.
The video we filmed last week is going to go out the day after this.
Okay, yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, our life's pretty average. It's not like, oh man, your life sounds exciting. Yeah, no.
Well,
it was a lot of going to school. Yeah, honestly, I look back, I'm like, well, I wish I would have had more fun, because now I'm like pushing 36 years old. I'm in my mid-30s. I'm just like, man, I feel old. Not to say that.
I do wish we took more trips.
Yeah, because, once you have a kid and you're married and you have a career, it's really hard. It's really hard.
Then take your trips.
If you plan to take trips, take them before you have kids. There you go.
There you go.
Because otherwise you'll have a kid and you'll look up and you're like, wow, I'm 40 years old and never win anywhere. Anyways.
It's okay.
It's just, I guess that's how it is for everybody.
Life is also not about all that stuff too.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, I went over here and there. Look at what I did. You're not trying to compare and like one up on somebody. I mean, people do that.
Comparison trap can get you real bad.
Yeah, I tell Amanda all the time. I was like, just delete your Facebook, get off of there. It's just a breeding ground of depression. Like honestly, when I was younger, I had a Facebook, MySpace, whatever, but I grew out of that. I never check it.
Yeah.
If I wasn't, the only reason I have it is because we're married, so I never get on there. Yeah. If I do, it's probably Amanda getting on there, because I never get on Facebook at all. Because I don't keep up with anybody I know in high school. Maybe some people do. I don't care to do that.
Yeah. Well,
because a lot of what you see is like, you're like, look what they're doing. I'm like, comparison trap, right? Yeah. Because honestly, if you never get on there, guess what? you'll never see it.
Yeah.
And you'll never feel like, oh, I'm missing out.
Yeah.
The FOMO gets to people. Like, ask our son. He has a lot of FOMO. Every little moment, every little thing he does.
He's got to go here, here.
Yeah, and that's a kid thing, too. He's 5, but he's just so much FOMO. He can't even go to bed if it wasn't for melatonin or... I mean...
Anyway, y'all, that's it for us. Sorry, we had a second benediction there. I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. Let us know anything you want down in the comments below. Thank y'all for watching, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, y'all!